Jim, how much do you think it's held you guys back over the last couple of years, the cornerback injuries and not having the same guys week to week?
I mean, and I've said this a million times, it sounds like a broken record, it's just our job in the NFL. I don't think we can look at anything as holding us back. It's just our job to go out each week and, find a way to win the game. So, I mean, it just is what it is.
On that note, Sidney Jones now has another soft tissue injury. What seems to be the issue there? Why is this reoccurring?
I'm not the person to ask about injuries.
Okay, then is there anything about Sidney's play that that you've been pleased with or dissatisfied with? And what does this do in terms of his future? That he's back on the injured list.
Well, I'll just speak on the last game. I mean, very first play, or not the first play. I think it was third play when he gave up the deep ball down the field. He's actually in really good shape if he gets his head around a quarter second or a third of a second quicker. His his ability to knock that ball down. A quarterback like Rodgers is going to put it right on the button, but I think he is in position that he can get that ball down. We got to make a cleaner tackle on the touchdown run. I think they're close on those plays, but I think that's life in the big city when it comes to cornerback position. We said this a bunch of times. A linebacker can be a half a step shorter on a play, or a defensive lineman can be, a bad step, and you guys don't even notice. Fans don't even notice, and a lot of times it goes, just unseen. But corners live that life. They live that life in that fishbowl. That one little small error, and I look at that, both of those plays really, as one little technique thing you can do a little bit better, and they equal touchdowns, and that's what you have to live with. And you can't let that affect the next play. You got to go out and play hard, and you can't let it affect your confidence. There's not many corners in the league that there's not many good corners that struggle to bounce back from a bad play, and that's part of the profile of the position.
The penalties on Thursday night, I guess particularly with Derek and Zach, concern you at all that they're playing kind of at the edge of control or maybe out of control?
No, I mean we had like hardly any penalties in the first three games, and I know the first play, Derek's running to the football on a pass play. We put a lot of emphasis on guys running to the football. And he's going in trying to get the ball out. He's trying to get a fumble. He's not targeting anybody. He's going in, trying to get the football. We want guys hustling. We want guys trying to get that. Like, Zach getting the, face mask. He got up on the side of the helmet, and even if it's not like the classic definition of a face mask, if you get on the side of a guy's helmet and turn it, it's particularly sticky as the gloves are. It's going to look bad, and you're going to get those flags. You don't want to be undisciplined. You don't want to play outside the bounds of the game. I don't think either of those guys would fall into those categories.
How is Avante doing?
Yeah, again, I'm sort of the wrong person to ask about injuries and stuff like that. But it was good to have him back on the plane after the game. Talked to him for a little bit, and he's in good frame of mind. And
what's your
hopefully we'll get him back soon.
What's your cornerback depth for this weekend if Avante can't play, if Sidney can't play? I mean, Ronald.
TBD. I mean that's where we are. I mean it is to be determined. We're still only a few days after the game. I don't know calendar-wise if today's a Monday or today's a Thursday. The Thursday games sort of screw your calendar up as a coach and guys coming back. But we got a long time until Sunday, so we'll figure it out over the course of this week, and and get the guys out there that are healthy enough to play, and expect them to play well.
Well, how do you think Avante was playing before he went down?
Well, he got thrown into the corner position, so that was something that he hadn't practiced since training camp. Made a couple plays, gave up a couple plays. I mean, probably about the way you'd expect. But, Avante's a good player. We got a lot of confidence in him.
What can you expect from Skandrick coming back now after not playing for the first 2 weeks?
Well, the thing that was good about him is we did have him in camp. And, even though he wasn't part of our 53 in that first week, he had all those built-up reps in camp. So, a lot of times I get up here and say it's not just, learning what to do. It's just putting it in our terminology or, this or that, trying to get in shape if he hadn't been in a training camp. But he was in training camp. He knows our system. That's one of the reasons we brought him back. It's one of the reasons we had him in training camp. So we'd expect him to be, up to speed if he's called upon. There's not going to be any startup time for him.
As far as Craig James goes, what do you see from him in practice? And, he came in Thursday and made that play at the goal line. I mean, what kind of expectation do you have for him with his role?
Well, I didn't see anything from him in practice because he didn't get any practice reps. That's just where it was. Those are the first 2 defensive snaps he's ever played in the NFL. He's played some special team snaps before, but those are the first 2 snaps. Watch him in individual and things like that, but wasn't just over the last week we didn't even have practice. We had walkthroughs, so he was there when his number was called. We put him in the game. We were standing on the sideline, and Malcolm was over in our huddle. We were trying to figure out what we were going to do personnel-wise because it affects him. He was playing safety, he was playing nickel, he was playing quarter, he was playing dime, and thought for a second he was going to have to go out and play corner. But then when Craig came in, the first thing Malcolm said to him is, they're coming after you right away. And he goes, I know. So you like that. He was game. He was up to the challenge, and made a play to help us win the game.
Why do you think it is that your defense in particular has been so good inside the 5-yard line?
I don't know. Our guys know what we're doing. I mean, it's the same as anything else. Our guys know what we do, communicate it well. It's a combination of a lot of things. I still think there's a little bit of room for improvement. Not a little bit. There's a lot of room for improvement. We don't need to be taking any prizes or consolation, anything other than wins and losses this time of year. But keeping teams out of the end zone for touchdowns is a big component of that. We spend a lot of time on it, and we expect to have good results, but it's no different than any other area.
7 trips inside, though, a little bit too many.
It's enough to win the game.
You guys have blitzed a little bit more than you did last season, but it hasn't been as effective. What do you attribute that to so far?
Just the way the game goes. Just every play. I mean, there's probably other things that either were a little bit more effective or maybe even less effective that don't get the attention that that blitz gets. So it's just part of everything. We're just it's a quarter of the way through the season. We're 2-2. And we're just trying to improve every week. I know that sounds like so vanilla and is so cliche, but that's what we do. And you try to, tighten up your areas that have been loose. You try to improve your areas that haven't been up to par. You try to accentuate the things that you're doing well. You try to find your formula. And, it's a long 16 games. It's a long 16-game season. You need to keep your mind on things like that as opposed to short term or what happened the previous game or overreact based on a game situation or an injury situation. This league truly rewards people that are in it for the long run and can do it over the long run, and we have to be able to do that and improve over the course of the season.
Did you see any improvement in your 4-man rush?
I don't want to say it was improvement, but I've seen good things from it. I think with, there were times we had chances to get the quarterback on the ground, and give all credit to Aaron Rodgers. He's a very elusive quarterback and made a couple plays that he escaped some sacks that, we might feel a lot different. The rush would be exactly the same, but he broke a tackle or, worked his way around or, made a great play with his feet. And, we still rushed the same. I think we did see in Derek's sack how important sacks are to us because it's not just creating lost yardage plays. There's a lot of ways you can create lost yardage plays with defensive line play. You can force a holding penalty. You can get a tackle for a loss in the run game. All those things force a intentional grounding. You can force a quarterback to throw the ball away. There's a lot of things that you can do that really don't show up on the stat sheet. But the thing is, contact on quarterbacks and sacks have a high incident of turnover. And I think we saw that on his play. And, I've said it to him blue in the face. Our job as a defense is to limit scoring and to, number one, and number two, to create turnovers to help our offense. And those are plays that can help our offense.
How do you prepare for a team like the Jets that you don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be?
Well, me, like when I sit up here and I say, hey, everybody that's on our 53 is got to be expected to contribute, and and we have confidence. And I think it's the same thing when you prepare for another team. If they're on their 53-man roster, you're preparing for them. So, I think we'll keep that in mind this week. See where they are with their quarterback position. Their scheme's not going to change a whole lot. But we'll be ready for, anybody that's on the roster now or up through Saturday.
As that game went on, how did you kind of factor how much to go with more two-deep safety looks specifically in the second half? How do you kind of weigh that throughout the course of a game like that?
Yeah, that wasn't the plan going in, but plans change during the game, and, you need to sort of be able to react to that. I thought the guys did a pretty good job of transitioning out of that with a couple injuries that we had, and also some of the time as quick as the ball was coming out, we didn't need to, we needed to be, scheming it a little bit different, no different than any other week. Like I said, a lot of times people talk about halftime adjustments, and there's no such thing. It's adjustments within series and even play to play. And I think it helped us in a lot of ways. And, there were a couple times that you could see sort of that it wasn't the main part of our game plan. We didn't practice a lot, and, we ended up giving up one play that we probably shouldn't give up in there, but that's probably no different than anything else. All right.
Afternoon. How's everybody doing?
Mike, Brandon Brooks was talking after the game how the offensive line and running backs were communicating during the week to make sure that they were, getting on the same page, which apparently factored into the success that he had. What did you see leading up to the Green Bay game in that respect, maybe that?
Well, I think, in a short week, like you have when you're getting prepared for a Thursday, you've got everybody out there on the field and in more of a walkthrough setting. And so you probably have a little bit more opportunity, quite frankly, to talk through plays as you're going at a little bit slower pace than you would ordinarily, when then you're huddling up and calling the next play. You guys are getting back. There's that kind of communication that can go on. Perhaps that's what he's referring to. We get a lot more reps, in a walkthrough setting, because we're not, we don't have to deal with the wear and tear of the guys and manage their stamina from that standpoint. So I thought the communication was excellent across the board throughout the entire week. And we knew going into it that, the pressure package that they presented, the different fronts that these guys presented to us was going to be a real challenge. And the guys took on the challenge head on. Coach Stowlin, Roy Isfin, our assistant O-line coach, Press Taylor, with the pressures and making sure that we're all on the same page in terms of protecting the quarterback in our pass protection scheme, and also in the run game, which obviously proved to be a big part of the game.
With Miles Sanders starting to go for some of these longer runs, it feels like you can see his confidence start to build. What have you seen from him through 4 weeks?
Yeah, we obviously have a lot of confidence in Miles. It was great to see him have a productive game like he did, and he got us a spark there on the kickoff return. Changed the field position, really flipped the field for us, gave us a short field. We were able to turn that into a touchdown. He did a really good job of, and I think he learned coming out of the Atlanta game. Can't break everything outside, and in the last 2 weeks, I think you've seen him adjust to that and life in the NFL and the speed of the game and stick his foot in the ground and get his shoulders going towards the goal line. He's made some great runs. He's made some runs where he's had to make somebody miss in the hole and gotten extra yards, and then when the hole's there and it's blocked, efficiently, you see his burst through the hole. So I think he continues to get better week to week.
Mike, Jordan and Miles neither had a real history in the receiving game in their previous places. Can you just talk about how far they've come, and they've both made contributions the last 2 weeks in the receiving game?
I think you got to give those guys a lot of credit. They've worked really hard on their game, knew that was an area that they could continue to work on or improve on, whatever the case may be. And they know that they're weapons for us out there in the passing game, that we're going to try to find them and utilize them as out there in space, or if we get a matchup that we like, and they've done a great job.
What kind of difference has Dallas Goedert made in the run game?
Well, we've talked about how strong Dallas is at the point of attack. He did a great job, again, blocking both at the point of attack and carrying out his blocks down the field, really finishing. He's tenacious and strong. He's got strong hands when he can get his hands on you. He plays with balance and a base, and he can really move people. So he obviously gives us an advantage there as an inline tight end.
When you went into that game, did you know that they were going to kind of stick with their sub packages against 12 personnel, or early in that game, is there sort of a feeling out period to see what they're going to present against those looks?
Well, you have, you kind of your hunch, if you will, in terms of how you think people are going to try to play you, but then you got to try to make sure early on, like you said, we want to see if it confirm or see if they've changed course. And we know that they're a sub personnel defense. So, we like our matchup with both our tight ends on the field. We feel like we can be effective running and throwing the ball with both those guys on the field.
You dusted off the RPO game against them, Mike. Was it matchup specific for that team, or is it something you want to use a little bit more going forward?
We've used it in every game. We have. We've maybe called it maybe a couple more times. Some of that was at the line of scrimmage. We got up on the ball quickly, and I can remember a couple times doing that. We got a lot of confidence in it. Again, it's a little bit more game plan specific there, whether, how often that shows up or the kind of rhythm that we get in offensively. And, a couple of those came in one or two true drives there where it showed up, popped good, and then let's get right back to it. I think Coach did a great job of getting back to it and calling it again.
Did Carson show you anything Thursday night? I mean, he only threw for the, 160 yards, nothing, spectacular or anything like that, but just the way he ran the team, ran the game.
Yeah, I think every week Carson's played really well and played at a high level and played winning football. To go on the road like that and to play the way that he did, again, another efficient day on third down, and play the way that he did in the red zone. Some of the throws that he made down there, getting to secondary receivers and things like that. Thought he played really well, very efficiently, and very in control of his game.
How rare is that to have more yards rushing than passing in a game? I mean, have you ever been a part of anything like that?
I don't know. You'd have to look up stats on that. I don't know. I know we ran the ball really well. Across the board, JP, Isaac, Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, Lane. We already talked about Dallas and the job that he did. Even Alex Ellis came in, on a play down there in the goal line and chopped a guy down there on one of the touchdown runs that Jordan had. All those guys all night, guys on the perimeter blocking, covering their guys up, making sure they were targeted right. It was a really efficient job.
You guys are at 56% on third down. Obviously, Carson's a big part of that. What else has kind of gone into that success?
Guys are where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there down the field. So from a dependability standpoint, I think there's comfort in where they're going to be, and Carson's found guys. We still see room to improve there, and would like to improve even on third down. We've tried to stay out of third and longs, which has helped. And when we've been in third and long, we've been able to convert in some of those circumstances, which we know are more challenging. But try to stay on par on first and second down and make it easier for ourselves on third down, I think is a winning formula.
You mentioned Goddard's tenacity and his ability to get up the field. How rare is it for a tight end to be able to have the agility and athleticism to get up and get a safety 5 yards down the field, but also come on those wham blocks and kind of seal off like a 300-pound defensive tackle?
That wham block that you speak of was pretty impressive. He did a heck of a job on that, but he athletically he's so good out in space that he can cover these guys up, and he's got the length, and once he gets his hands on them, he's able to move them out of there. So he does a good job. He's smart. Justin Peel does a great job in coaching those guys each and every week, and we're trying to take advantage of his skills.
You guys had that sequence in the fourth where you're backed up at your own one. It looked like you went with the same run play, I think 3 times in a row and got out of there. What stood out about that sequence and what you did well there?
Well, I think our guys just that was a big series in the game, really, to get it out after a goal line stand, have it on the 1 yard line, and then be able to move it all the way out to midfield. And again, credit to coach, just sticking with the play. It was working. Rather than get to something else, he just called it 3 times in a row there, and it was efficient runs. Came squirting out there a couple big, and be able to change a field position like that in a game like that on the road was critical. And really, oftentimes, when you get in those backed up situations, the ability to do that is an overlooked situation in every game. So our guys handled that down there in the noise and that end zone and be able to dig it out. Thought they did a great job.
Mike, does it take some time to kind of establish a rhythm in the running back rotation when you have a new, set of backs in there for your offense? And what have you found is, what works for you guys?
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of success here, and rotating the backs. Deuce has done a great job of that. The backs understand it. They understand that we're going to try to keep guys fresh and keep everybody involved in each game. And I think that Jordan and Miles the other night did a great job, and Darren knows that he's ready whenever his number's called, and he's been productive whenever we put him in the game. So we feel really confident with all 3 of those guys, and that'll be something that we continue to do moving forward.
Mike, what jumps out at you about the Jets and the attack that they have?
Well, I think, Greg Williams, number one, does a great job, and he kind of comes at you a little bit like Green Bay, comes at you with some guys from different angles, and the way that they play their coverage is a little bit unique, and I've got experience in practicing against Greg, and we know that it'll be a heck of a challenge for us. Our guys, we talked about it with them here this morning, so we're 2 days out in front of where we'd normally be with the being able to come in here and start getting ready for the Jets when they had a bye week too. So we're not getting any leg up on them that way, but they've got talented guys up front. Jamal Adams, obviously, he stands out there on the back end. He's somebody I recruited, so I've known him a long time and familiar with his game. And but we know it's going to be another really good challenge for our offense. They're going to make it hard on us by some of the things they do schematically, and we got to get on our game plan and be on it again this Sunday.
Staff comes up with maybe the run game plan for the week or helps. What's that dynamic like? When does it happen?
We usually are putting the plans together in advance of the game that we're playing on Sunday, trying to lay the groundwork there, if you will, so that everything isn't left till Monday or Tuesday. And then come in and finalize things on Monday into the evening, and then we'll get together on Tuesday. We usually have the players in here on Tuesday, and then once we get finished with the players, kind of recapping the past game, then the acceleration of the game planning really starts there.
How much in that game with the run game did you want to kind of break maybe some of your previous tendencies? It seemed like you showed some different runs out of, looks where it might typically be one thing, but you went with the other. How cognizant of that were you going into that game? Yeah,
that's a good observation. I think that, we try to self-scout ourselves and try to break tendencies where we see them, where we find them. We're always conscious of that and making sure that we're not giving things away. And then the execution was there. I mean, you talk about a short week all you want, but the execution was at a very high level. The guys, like we said, were locked in. They went up there, and we talked about it here last week. Excited to get up there to Lambeau, play against a good football team. The guys were obviously focused all week on what their job was, and they performed at a high level. So you got to give our guys a lot of credit.
Just following up on the Miles and Jordan in the receiving game, how important is it to the offense and the way it operates to have that multiple aspects of teams, when they see those guys, know they're not just running?
Yeah, I think it's really important to know that all 5 guys out there are a threat to get the ball every time we drop back. And, if they want to, sink way back and try to take away the downfield throws, and we can dump it off, and then we get those guys in space. They have the ability to make guys miss, or obviously 2 of our better ball carriers. So we can see it as an extension of the run game, if you will. But these guys, like I said, they put a lot work in extra after practice, things of that, in between periods, getting catches. Deuce has emphasized it with them, and they've been diligent about it, and it's paying off. It's paying off for them. It's paying off for us, helping us be efficient on offense. Carson's doing a great job of checking it down to the backs. And again, that's one of those things that doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's efficient quarterback play, and it makes a big difference over the course of a game.
Mike, I know it was all you.
Wasn't really a passing game, but Nelson Aguilar had the one target after several targets the previous 2 weeks. Was that a product of Alshon being back, or was there something more there?
No, I wouldn't read anything into that at all. No, just the way the game played out.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you.